how to buy houses fast and grow your net worth with the BRRRR strategy. Hey guys, I'm Arianne, and if you're new to this channel, we upload weekly videos on money, investing, and real estate to help awesome people like you reach financial freedom ASAP. So in this video, I want to share how you can buy houses fast, build a rental portfolio with the least amount of money, and grow your net worth with the BRRRR strategy so you can implement this strategy too, add it to your plan, and reach financial freedom. Okay, so first of all, let's explain what the BRRRR strategy is. It's buy, renovate, rent, refinance, and repeat. Simple enough, right? So with this strategy, you can recycle your capital over and over and keep buying more rentals. Basically, what you do is you buy a property at a discount, add value by renovating it and forcing appreciation, and then you refinance all of your cash back out. So you end up with a rental property with zero money in it, and you still have the appreciation that you forced. So you still have equity in the deal, because usually when you refinance out, the maximum you can refinance is 75%. So you still have 25% of equity in, and you still have the cash flow because you still own the rental. So how do you do this? It usually means that you're submitting a lot of offers, either on market or off market. And it's usually a lot of offers, right? Like usually what I do is I analyze 10 properties, and then I end up submitting like 1 or 2 offers from those 10 properties. And it usually takes like 20 offers to get one deal. So it can be a lot of offers. But when you do get the property, it pays off. So let me show you what that hard work will do for you. So I'm gonna pull up my laptop here so I can show you some slides I made so you can follow along with this example, right? So I put up an example of a regular BRRRR property. Right? So this is going to be a little bit simplistic because we're not going into super detail, but I just want you to see what you can accomplish with the BRRRR strategy. So rent is $1,000 a month. You buy a property that could rent for $1,000 a month for $75,000. And remember, you're able to buy this at a discount because you're submitting a lot of offers. And then it needs $10,000 in repairs, and after that it could appraise for, so you force the value to $120,000, and you buy it with a 15% down payment. You pay $3,700 in closing costs, and you set aside $10,000 for the repairs. So the cash you need is $25,000 total. And by the end of it, after you do the renovation, your total all-in investment into the property is $88,700. Now, let's talk about the expenses, right? So you're renting it out for $1,000 a month. Expenses are all of these: taxes, insurance, property management, vacancy reserves, repairs and maintenance, capital expenditure reserves. Now, this is money that you put in reserve so that if you need to replace the AC later down the road, or replace the roof, you have the money in that reserve account. So after you remove all of that expenses, your net operating income is $605. Now, that doesn't include the principal and interest payment, so we're gonna deduct that too. And so your monthly cash flow from this rental is $250. So that's great. Now, after 6 months, because you have to wait 6 months if you're buying with a loan and you're trying to refinance, you do a cash out refinance at 75% loan to value. So since it appraises for $120,000, you can have a valuation of $90,000, right? So you get all of your cash back out, right? All of what you invested initially, you get all of that money back out. Plus, you get an extra $1,300. And guess what? You have a rental property that you have zero money into. In fact, it actually gave you an extra $1,300. and you still own it, and you get $250 a month in cash flow. That is pretty awesome. So what next? You do it again. Repeat. So you could do this with the same money, the same initial $25,000 every 6 months for, let's just potentially say 3 years. So you do it for that. So if you do it every 6 months for 3 years, you would have 6 doors or 6 rental properties, and that would equals $1,500 in rent. And we're just saying that you're buying the exact same house, right? In reality, it's probably going to be different, but this is just an example. So if you do that all with the same $25,000 investment. Now, what if you save an extra $25,000 every 2 years? So you master the gap and you save $25,000 more by the end of year 2. And the gap is what I call the difference between what you make and what you spend, or some people call it the savings rate, right? And I call it the gap because I think that's really the difference between the rich and poor. Some people think the gap between the rich and poor is what they have, but it's actually the way they spend their money. And so that's why I like calling my savings rate each month my gap. So anyway, let's say you save money and by the end of year 2, you have another $25,000 to invest. And you do the same BRRRR strategy. So by the end of year 3, you could have $25,000, your initial seed $25,000, you've generated $1,500 a month in cash flow, and your second $25,000 has now bought 2 BRRRR properties, and you make an extra $500 a month off of those. So by the end of year 3, your cash flow is $2,000 a month over 8 doors, plus you have $30,000 of equity left in the properties you own, which means that you have $240,000 in equity, plus the $50,000 that you keep refinancing back out of those BRRRR properties, which means your net worth would be $290,000. Now, what if you did this for 7 years? That is, you start with $25,000 and every 2 years you save a new $25,000 and you keep doing the BRRRR strategy. So your initial $25,000 would get you $3,500 a month in cash flow in 7 years. Then your second $25,000 would get you $2,500 a month in cash flow. Your third $25,000 would get you $1,500 a month in cash flow. And your fourth and newest addition to your pool will get you $500 a month in cash flow. So by the end of year 7, your cash flow is $8,000 a month and you own 32 rental properties. Plus, you have $30,000 of equity per door or per unit, which equals $960,000 in equity. And you still have the $100,000 that you keep reinvesting, remember? Which means your net worth is $1,060,000. That is awesome. And all of this came from that seed investment of $100,000. And you just kept doing the BRRRR strategy every 6 months for the last 7 years. And obviously, you spent your time finding the rentals, managing the rentals, and managing the property managers and all of that. Pretty sweet. Okay, so now I want to look at this table or graph, right? So this shows you that every 2 years you do what we talked about, which is you invest an extra $25,000 and keep doing the BRRRR method. So by the end of year 7, you would have invested a total of $100,000. And then you have 32 units. Your equity is $960,000 and your monthly cash flow is $8,000 and your total annual cash flow is $96,000. It's amazing, and all of this is from $100,000 and you're just reinvesting and reinvesting and reinvesting that capital. So that is pretty powerful. You can be a millionaire in 7 years with just $100,000 invested and your time. What could you do with $8,000 a month in passive income? I know for me, when I reached that level of passive income, it was a complete game changer. I knew that all of my needs and wants were paid for with passive income, and so I was able to do what I really wanted. I was able to start some businesses that I was super passionate about that might not get me a good paycheck, right? But it was something I was super passionate about. And because my passive income already pays for my needs, my wants, and then a lot more extra, then I can focus on what really matters to me and what my purpose is. So imagine what that could do for you. You can also combine this BRRRR strategy with house hacking, right? So you can check out the other video on house hacking after you watch this. I'll link to it in the description in the end card. And the pros are that you can lessen the amount of money you need as a down payment, right? So earlier, the example was starting with $25,000. Well, you might say, well, I don't have $25,000 right now. It's going to take me a while to save up that money. So you can use house hacking in combination with the BRRRR and use an owner-occupied loan with 0 to 3.5% down payment. And you can also buy one a year using this method. Now, it's not as fast as every 6 months, like the strategy we talked about earlier, but this is a way to do it with less money. Now, the cons when using house hacking is that you have to move, right, more often than you probably want to, and you may not be living in your dream home. But if you think about this, where the regular BRRRR can get you $8,000 a month in cash flow, 32 doors, plus $1 million in equity in 7 years with $100,000 invested. Think about how much faster you can get to that point if you add the live-in house hack BRRRR and do the regular BRRRR strategy together. So that is pretty cool. So check out this other video on house hacking after you watch this. It's a great way to get started, especially if you're starting out or you're trying to save more capital to invest. I'll link to it here in the description and in the end card. And please click that subscribe button and hit that notification bell so you can see all the new videos I post about money and investing so you can retire early and live the life you want. Our quote for the day is, "Believe you can, and you're halfway there." Theodore Roosevelt. You're awesome. Don't forget that. And you can do anything you set your mind to. I'll see you next time.